Hey there everybody, welcome. In today's video we're going to talk about our geese, specifically the goslings. And I've got some footage that, depending on how I edit it, you're seeing it now, of a goose pair with their own goslings, that's the bigger ones, and then some smaller ones. Now you can tell this pair has picked up a few extras. The smaller, more green looking babies are not theirs. The babies they're supposed to have are the bigger ones. But geese, as well as ducks, will take care of any baby that hangs out with them. So as long as these two parents go at a pace, so just plain walking, that's slow enough, the two different sizes here will work out. So that pair, they're doing a pretty good job. That pair is taking care of their babies, no problem. So the vast majority of the goslings that are hatched here are hatched by their moms. Jason did have an incubator full of goose eggs, which, since goose eggs are big, really isn't all that many goose eggs. But I think he got 6 or 8 out of that. So we did hatch a few. Everybody else has been hatched by moms. So then you're asking, why do you have them if they had a mom? Well, how we work it here is we give everybody a chance to take care of their babies. If they make good decisions, if they keep track of their babies, if they go at a pace that the babies can keep up, then they can keep their babies, and that's great. But anytime we find babies abandoned or lost, we just take them. We take them and put them in the brooder, because we have learned if we don't take them, if we put those lost babies, or if we let the moms and dads, because these geese co-parent, if we let that pair have those babies back, then what we're going to do is find dead babies. And that's just terrible, to come out like after a rain or something and find dead babies. And you wouldn't think about it. You'd think, since they're waterfowl, they love rain, right? Yes, once they have their feathers. But until they have their feathers, a rain on down equals chilled babies and dead babies. And that's just bad. So we've learned that the pairs seem to either to be really super or not so great. So anybody that's not so great, we take the babies, put them in a brooder, and then when they get to probably about like a month or so, we can just turn them loose with everybody else, since geese are primarily grazers. You can see they're still scared in their corner. We just moved them out here this afternoon. And then there's their big feed trough. And this is just a chicken tractor Jason made a couple years ago for broilers. It's 8x8. And we just put plywood over the opening because Aileen, the family cow, will reach through the top and steal feed. So then there's their water, and that's a 5-gallon size water. There's a little bit better view. And you'll notice they're on some pretty short grass. They're starting to poke around a little bit. They were just hiding in the back. There they go, back to their corner. Because they've been in the brooder for 2 weeks. And that's the first day spot. This is the second day spot. You can see the edge there of the grass they would have moved on to. Oop, they're back up there. And they ran away again. And you can see their feeder there. And that's about 5 pounds of the 22%. It's a broiler feed, but that's the appropriate feed for this age of ducks. Then there's their water, a 5-gallon water. The cage is on a tilt, so that's why one side's full and the other side isn't. Then let's see. And the geese all ran back to the corner again. And before I came up, they were all here in the front part. Anyway, this is their second day, and they're doing really good. You can hear my good buddy Aileen come over to visit. Anyway, that's what we're looking like for their second day out here. You can tell the broiler cage is kind of on a slope, and Aileen is not innocently investigating the plywood on top of the cage to keep her from stealing feed. And the funny thing with the geese is, normally your problem or your concern with birds is predators. And for the goslings, that's really not a big deal as long as they're with their moms. But once they get to like the half-grown stage where they kind of stay with the group of geese, but their mom really isn't so protective of them, that's when the bad stuff starts to happen. And what happened last year is we had a fox that would come every night, and you'd just see this poof of feathers where a half-grown baby goose used to be. So that's why these characters are in the chicken tractor. It's just a grazing pen until they get a little size to them, so that they have a better chance against the main predator around here, which at least last year was a fox. Not so much coyotes, they tend to not come around the barns. And other baby poultry, your big deal is cats, right? Your barn cats, domestic cats. Yeah, cats are your heavy hitter there. In the brooder, maybe rats, but outside of the brooder, it's cats. Whereas geese, it's more that when the weather gets crazy, they just don't think. So you'd think, well, they'll run in the barn or they'll get under some shelter. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So when they don't have their mom to help them out, we take care of them. We keep them in some sort of controlled environment, which for these characters is the chicken tractor. And then when they get big enough to be on their own, we'll just turn them loose with everybody else. And if you're thinking about raising geese, good news, they are pretty darn easy. Like I said, most of what they eat is grazing. So once they get a month old or so, the vast majority of their food is just your yard or your pasture. They'll do great out there. You have to have water, obviously. Not necessarily swimming, but geese are easy, they're fun. They herd, which is nice if you've ever tried to get chickens to go somewhere and it doesn't work super good. Whereas geese, you can also train them to food. Geese are fun, geese are pretty easy, geese are long-lived, and probably the first year, if you have a pair, wouldn't count on too many eggs, but the second year and after that, they should be good to go. And geese, at least this is 2021, geese are selling really well this year. We sold a few pairs of geese at the exotic sale and got $100 each. So good news. And goslings, they're, at least this kind, I'm pretty sure selling for $25 each. But just any goose, 15. So they're in demand. They're pretty easy. They eat your yard. It's pretty awesome. Zoom in a little closer. They tend to run away when I go to move them. And these guys have been out here for a week, and they are 3 weeks old. And I'm moving them twice a day. Let me zoom that back out. And this is a chicken tractor that's 8x8, and there's 18 goslings in here. And then this is what they did for the second move yesterday. The first move yesterday. And the long skinny patch of grass that you see, like that one. And then this one here, that's just where the feeder was. And then the circle there that still has clover, that's where the waterer was. So they eat everything else, and moving into it, it looked like that. So you can see the difference real easy between how much grass they eat. And once again, there's 18 of them in there. So we'll get ready to move. I gotta take off the plywood, pull out the feeder and the water, and then pop up the dolly back there. And before I get going on this, you can see that the plywood on here isn't really keeping anything out. So it's definitely not predators I'm keeping out. What I'm keeping out is other poultry that would go in there and steal this food. And Aileen, she loves to steal easy food to eat. So So the plywood up here does provide a little bit extra shade, but they already have shade with the metal roof. So the plywood is more to keep other feed eaters out, and especially Aileen. Then there's the water I pulled off the plywood on the top. There's what's left of their morning's feed. Obviously not much. They're getting about 5 pounds a day. Then you might not be able to find goose specific food. That's okay. That's okay. For the babies, a broiler feed would do it as well. A broiler starter, just a 22%. Just make sure it's not medicated. And there they are eating the new grass that was under the feeder. And these are American buff goslings. We got Mike here custom baling again this year. That's the tractors you can hear in the background. Anyway, I'll pop up the dolly and pull these guys forward. So here I am at the back, and you can see they're already up front, but I always take the dolly and kind of wiggle it a little. Which looks a little crazy, I know, but you don't want any of the goslings not paying attention and getting their foot caught between the dolly and the chicken tractor here. So now we're good to go. And it'll take me 2 hands to move it, so I have to shut off the camera. And here they are up to a new spot. You can tell I don't have the dolly down, but I'll go around and get that. But what I wanted to say while we're here is when you move the cage, you need to go slow. because it'll take them a few days to learn to come up to new grass. And you don't want to hit anybody and run over their legs, because legs don't heal well on poultry. So take your time, go slow, and they'll figure it out. And they'll come forward with the new grass. Because you can tell these guys are really excited. Then this is a look at the spot I just moved them off of. And that's obviously what was outside their cage. But they seem to have little areas they like to poop on better than others. But I'll refill their food and water, and they'll be set. And to be clear, this is their second move of the day. I moved them earlier this morning. Still a little camera shy. And that's a 5-gallon water size, because waterfowl can really move through water. I'm really chowing on the feed over there. We're looking pretty good in here. You'll see one on the far end with his head kind of down a little. Just right up there he is. He has a crooked head, kind of a wry neck. Not sure what's going on with that one, but other than being a little small, seems to keep up with everybody else. For the most part, we're doing pretty good here. So I just stick on the plywood. Once again, more to keep everybody else out than to keep these guys in. And these guys are set for the night. If you want more information on geese, I have articles about raising geese on my website. It's familyfarmlivestock.com, and just stick goose or geese in the search bar. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments or send us an email at familyfarmlivestock@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and see you next time. Hopefully you can see them. There's a few sitting. Most everybody else is guzzling the water. Which, it's a warm day. I can see why.